There is a particular kind of confusion that is uniquely frustrating for men. Not the confusion of complex problems that require deep thinking and careful analysis. Not the confusion of professional challenges or strategic decisions where the difficulty is at least proportional to the stakes. But the specific, maddening confusion of sitting directly across from a woman who may or may not be attracted to you and having absolutely no idea which one it is. Of watching her behavior and trying to decode it. Of making your best interpretation and then second-guessing that interpretation. Of finally working up the confidence to act on what you thought you were reading and then discovering, in the most uncomfortable possible way, that you read it completely wrong. This particular confusion is not a small thing. It costs men real opportunities. It produces real embarrassment. It generates the kind of hesitation that makes men miss moments that would have been genuinely significant if they had only been able to read the room clearly enough to act on them. And it works in both directions. Men who misread friendly warmth as sexual interest make moves that damage relationships and create genuine discomfort. And men who misread genuine attraction as mere friendliness fail to act on real opportunities and watch the window close while they were still trying to decide whether it was open. Research consistently confirms that men are not particularly accurate at reading female signals of attraction. Not because men are unintelligent. Not because women are deliberately deceptive. But because the signals women send when they are genuinely attracted to someone are often subtle, often nonverbal, often operating at a level beneath conscious intention, and often look enough like ordinary social warmth that the distinction is genuinely difficult to make without knowing specifically what to look for. Today we are going to fix that. We are going to go through 7 specific, concrete, observable signals that a woman is sexually attracted to you. Not just comfortable with you. Not just friendly toward you. But genuinely, physically, specifically drawn to you in the way that, when correctly read and carefully responded to, opens the door to something significantly more than what you currently have. And before we get into the 7 signs, one thing needs to be said clearly and without qualification. Every single one of these signs needs to be read in context. No single signal in isolation is definitive. Human behavior is complex, and a woman can smile at you without wanting you, can sit next to you without desiring you, can touch your arm without inviting anything beyond what is immediately happening. The power of these signs is in their combination, their consistency, and their presence within a context where you have already established some level of genuine connection and familiarity. Read the whole picture. Not just the individual brushstrokes. And when you are genuinely uncertain, the most intelligent and the most respectful thing you can do is simply ask. A confident man who checks his read before acting on it is not weak. He is smart. He is the kind of man who gets it right more often than the man who is too proud to verify. With that foundation in place, let us get into the signs. Sign number 1. She focuses on your lips when you are talking. Eye contact is the default mode of attentive listening in most human interaction. When you are speaking to someone who is genuinely engaged with what you are saying, they look at your eyes. They track your gaze. They maintain the kind of direct visual connection that communicates I am present, I am listening, I am focused on you as a person communicating something worth receiving. This is the normal, baseline behavior of genuine attention. But there is a different kind of attention that manifests differently in the face. And once you know how to recognize it, it is one of the most telling signals available. When a woman is not just listening to you but is physically drawn to you, her focus will drop. It will move from your eyes to your mouth. She will find herself watching your lips as you speak. Not because she is having difficulty hearing you. Not because there is anything particularly unusual about your speaking style that requires extra visual attention to decode. But because something about your physical presence, specifically the proximity and the activity of your mouth, is triggering a response in her that she may not even be fully conscious of. Think about what this actually represents at a psychological level. The lips are one of the most intimate focal points on the human face. They are associated with kissing, with physical closeness, with the kind of contact that belongs exclusively to intimate relationships. When a woman's attention gravitates consistently toward your lips while you are speaking, When you notice her gaze dropping and then lifting back to your eyes and then dropping again in a pattern that is too consistent to be accidental, what she is experiencing is a form of involuntary desire. Her attention is going where her interest is pulling it. And her interest is pulling it toward the part of your face that her imagination is currently associating with physical intimacy. This sign is particularly significant because of its involuntary quality. It is not something most women decide to do consciously. It is something that happens to them in the presence of someone they find genuinely physically compelling. Which means it is one of the signals that is hardest to fake and hardest to suppress. A woman who is merely being polite or merely being friendly does not find her gaze drifting repeatedly to your lips. She looks at your eyes because that is the socially appropriate thing to do, and she does it without difficulty. The woman who keeps looking at your lips is giving you information she did not necessarily intend to share. And that information, read correctly and responded to with appropriate patience and appropriate confidence, is one of the most encouraging signs available in any early stage of physical attraction. Sign number 2. She consistently finds reasons to sit next to you. Physical proximity is one of the most fundamental expressions of desire in human behavior. We move toward what we want and away from what makes us uncomfortable. This is not a complicated psychological principle. It is basic human biology. And yet its expression in the specific context of how a woman positions herself in relation to you is something most men either fail to notice or fail to correctly interpret when they do notice it. Here is the specific pattern to watch for. In any social setting where there are multiple seating options, multiple positions available, multiple configurations possible, does she consistently end up next to you? Not beside you because the only available chair was beside you. Not adjacent to you because the social situation naturally placed you together. But next to you in a way that suggests choice. That suggests she assessed the options available and selected the position closest to you. That suggests she is motivated, at some level, by a desire for your physical proximity specifically. And once she is next to you, pay attention to what happens. Does she create contact? Does her shoulder brush yours in a way that she does not move away from? Does her leg rest against yours without her pulling back? Does she lean toward you when she is speaking rather than keeping the full distance that would be available to her? These small, physical, proximity-based behaviors are not accidental. They are the body's natural expression of desire for closeness. And when they happen consistently, when this particular woman is consistently the one ending up beside you, consistently the one closing distances rather than maintaining them, consistently the one whose body is oriented toward you rather than away from you, you are watching the behavioral expression of genuine physical attraction in real time. The contrast is equally instructive. When a woman is not attracted to you, when she does not want physical closeness, her spatial behavior tells you that too. She maintains distance. She does not create opportunities for physical contact. She positions herself in ways that keep space between you. Because physical proximity creates a kind of tension, an awareness, an energy between two bodies, that a woman who does not want closeness will naturally and instinctively avoid. The fact that she is not avoiding it with you is significant. The fact that she is actively seeking it is even more significant. Sign number 3. She cannot stop touching you. Touch is one of the most intimate forms of human communication. And the threshold for initiating it, for being the one who reaches out and makes physical contact with another person in a way that goes beyond what is strictly socially required, is genuinely high. Most people do not touch people they do not like. Most people do not initiate physical contact with someone in whose presence they are not genuinely comfortable. The very act of reaching out and making contact with another person requires a level of comfort, a level of desire for connection, that is not present in ordinary social interaction. When a woman keeps touching you, the specific form of the touching matters less than the consistency of it. It might be a hand briefly on your arm when she is making a point. A playful push on your shoulder when you say something funny. Her fingers briefly in contact with your hand when she is gesturing. The back of her hand against yours when you are sitting close. A touch on your knee when she is emphasizing something. None of these individual instances is definitively significant on its own. But when they form a pattern, when you notice that this particular woman finds reasons to make physical contact with you with a frequency and a naturalness that goes beyond ordinary social touch, you are watching something very specific being communicated. What makes this sign particularly interesting is the element of it that is often unconscious. Women who are genuinely attracted to someone will sometimes initiate touch without fully realizing they are doing it. Their body moves toward the other person, makes contact, creates the brief connection, because something in their physical system is drawing them toward proximity and toward touch in a way that is operating beneath the level of conscious decision. This unconscious quality actually makes the sign more reliable rather than less. Deliberate, calculated behavior can be performed by anyone for any reason. But behavior that is happening below the level of conscious awareness is genuinely revealing the person's actual, unmanaged, authentic response to your presence. One important thing to keep in mind here. When you notice this pattern, the instinct of many men is to immediately match it. To reciprocate the touching in kind or in escalation. To treat the signal as a green light for immediate physical response. Resist that instinct. Not because the signal is not real, but because restraint in this particular moment creates something more powerful than immediate reciprocation. It creates tension. The particular kind of electric, charged, intensely interesting tension that forms when two people are clearly aware of each other physically and are both feeling the pull of that awareness without either of them immediately acting on it. That tension is not a problem to be resolved. It is an experience to be prolonged. Because the longer it builds, the more powerful the eventual release of it will be. And a man who can sit in that tension without immediately trying to dissolve it demonstrates a quality of self-possession that is genuinely compelling. Sign number 4. She smiles at you in a particular way. Not all smiles are the same. This is something most people know intuitively, but many people struggle to articulate precisely. There is the polite smile, the social smile, the smile deployed automatically in response to being smiled at because that is simply what social convention requires. There is the genuine smile of someone who found something funny or who is experiencing real pleasure in a moment. And then there is a different kind of smile entirely. One that appears not in response to something specific you said or did. Not because the social situation called for it, but simply because you are there. Because your presence in her space is producing in her a particular kind of warmth, a particular kind of pleasure, a particular kind of quiet delight that expresses itself involuntarily in the lifting of the corners of her mouth and the particular quality of light that appears in her eyes. When a woman smiles at you in this second way, when the smile appears not because something smile-worthy happened but simply because she is looking at you or thinking about you or aware of your proximity, she is giving you access to something genuine. She is not performing. She is responding. And what she is responding to is the simple fact of your presence, which she finds genuinely pleasurable in a way that her face cannot quite contain. Watch for the smile that comes in the quiet moments. Not when you just said something clever or funny. Not when the social situation is naturally warm and everyone is smiling. But the moment when there is no particular reason to be smiling and she is smiling anyway. When she catches your eye across a room and something in her face softens. When you are not even speaking and you glance over and find her watching you with an expression of quiet, contained warmth. Those moments are not accidental. They are the unguarded expression of someone who is feeling something specifically in relation to you. And that feeling, whatever its precise nature, is one that you have genuine reason to explore further. Sign number 5. She sends you pictures or videos of herself that are designed to get your attention in a particular way. In the landscape of digital communication, where so much of modern relationship development happens through screens and messages rather than in physical space, this sign has become both more common and more significant. Because the decision to send someone an image of yourself that is designed to be visually compelling, that draws attention to your physical appearance in a specific way, that creates in the recipient a particular kind of visual and imaginative experience, is not a casual one. It requires a decision to cross a threshold. To move from ordinary digital communication into something more intentional and more personal. When a woman sends you a picture that is designed to get your attention in a specific physical way, she is communicating something directly and deliberately. She is saying, with the image rather than with words, that she wants you to notice her physically. That she wants to be in your imagination. That she is comfortable enough with the idea of your attraction to her to actively invite and encourage it. This is not an ambiguous signal. It is one of the clearest and most direct expressions of sexual interest available in the digital communication space. And it deserves to be received with the same clarity and the same directness with which it was sent. What this sign also tells you, beyond the obvious communication of interest, is something about her comfort level with you specifically. Because as we established earlier, the threshold for this kind of digital vulnerability is high. Most women will not send an image designed to communicate physical availability to someone they are not genuinely interested in, not genuinely attracted to, and not genuinely comfortable with. The fact that she crossed that threshold with you is itself significant information about how she sees you and what she is open to with you. Sign number 6. She finds reasons to be in your digital space constantly. In a world where everyone is connected and communication is continuous, the specific pattern of who someone consistently makes time for in their digital interactions is remarkably revealing. Think about your own behavior. Think about the people whose messages you respond to quickly and enthusiastically. Whose content you engage with consistently. Whose stories you watch regularly. Whose posts you find reasons to interact with even when you could easily scroll past. The people who occupy that space in your digital attention are not random. They are the people who matter to you. Whose presence in your world, even the digital portion of it, generates something positive and something compelling in your experience. When a woman is consistently finding reasons to be in your digital space, when she is the one who always responds quickly to your messages, who watches your stories consistently, who finds little things in your posts to engage with, who slides into your messages with small observations and comments and reactions that have no purpose other than to create a moment of connection between you, she is showing you where you sit in her attention. She is showing you that when she is scrolling through her day, her eye catches what you put out and she feels motivated to respond to it. Not out of obligation. Not out of social pressure. But because engaging with you is something that generates something good in her experience. Something she wants more of. And the consistency of this pattern is key. Any individual message or reaction could mean anything or nothing. But when the pattern is consistent, when you are the one she keeps finding reasons to reach out to, keep finding little ways to stay in contact with, keep choosing to engage rather than scroll past, that consistency reveals a genuine and sustained interest that is not casual and is not ordinary. It is the digital expression of someone who is thinking about you with a frequency that produces the desire for regular, ongoing connection. And that desire, expressed across multiple platforms and multiple interaction points over time, is one of the most reliable indicators available of genuine attraction. Sign number 7. Her flirting becomes impossible to misread. We have spent most of this conversation talking about the subtle signs. The ones that require attention and context and careful interpretation to correctly identify. And those subtle signs matter. They are often the earliest and most valuable signals available because they appear before the woman has consciously committed to expressing her interest directly. They are the involuntary, unmanaged, genuinely revealing expressions of attraction in its early stages. But there is another end of the spectrum entirely. And it deserves its own honest discussion. Because there is a point beyond the subtle glances and the proximity seeking and the unconscious touching where a woman who wants you stops being subtle at all. Where the signals become not just readable but unmistakable. Where the flirting stops being something you have to decode and becomes something that is communicating itself with a directness that leaves very little room for interpretation. This kind of explicit, undeniable flirting looks different in different contexts. In person it might be the way she dances with you if you are in a space where dancing is happening, the way her body moves against yours without the careful maintenance of socially appropriate distance, the way her eyes hold yours a moment longer than ordinary interaction requires, the way she positions herself in your space with a deliberateness that communicates I want to be here, specifically here, close to you. It might be the comments she makes that have a particular quality of teasing, of suggestion, of invitation that goes clearly beyond what friendly conversation calls for. The kind of comments that make you look twice and think, did she really just say that? Because she did. And she said it because she wanted you to know exactly what she meant. In digital spaces, this kind of explicit attraction might express itself in the messages that drop the ambiguity entirely. That become playfully direct. That say without quite saying it that she is thinking about you in a specific and physical way. The messages that arrive late at night when the day's ordinary social performances have been set aside and what is actually on her mind has a clearer path to expression. The voice notes with a particular warmth in the tone. The images that suggest rather than state but suggest with such clarity that the suggestion and the statement are barely distinguishable. When the flirting has reached this level of explicitness, when the signals have moved from subtle to unmistakable, you are not in the territory of interpretation anymore. You are in the territory of response. And the appropriate response to unmistakable signals is not more waiting, more analyzing, more second-guessing. It is confident, direct, respectful engagement with what is being communicated. A man who can read this level of signal clearly and respond to it with genuine confidence and genuine directness, without awkwardness and without the performance of false uncertainty, is the man who gets to find out where it leads. So let us bring all 7 signs together and look at what they are collectively telling you. She watches your lips when you speak. She consistently positions herself next to you. She finds reasons to touch you. She smiles at you in those specific, unguarded, genuine moments. She sends you images designed to make you think about her physically. She is constantly in your digital space finding small reasons for connection. And her flirting, at its clearest, is impossible to misread. When several of these signs are present together, when they form a consistent pattern across multiple interactions and multiple contexts, you are not dealing with ambiguity. You are dealing with a woman who is genuinely and specifically drawn to you. And you now have something genuinely valuable. Not just the attraction itself, but the clarity to see it for what it is and respond to it with the confidence and the genuine presence that the situation deserves. Because that is ultimately what this knowledge is for. Not to give you a mechanical system for analyzing women as if they were puzzles to be solved, but to give you the clarity and the confidence to move through your interactions without the particular paralysis that comes from not being able to read what is right in front of you. To let you show up fully, respond genuinely, and engage with real confidence in the moments when the situation is genuinely inviting engagement. Read the signs. Trust what you see. Act with confidence. And always, when genuine doubt remains, simply ask. The right woman will not find that question threatening. She will find it refreshing. And the answer she gives you will be the clearest sign of all.